This is to the media, to your twisted, immoral society, and your communist government. We hate you all, and we are ready for war. We will always speak up and expose the corruption, the authoritarianism, the tyranny, and the hate.
Truth dispels lies, as light dispels darkness.
From an undisclosed location, deep in an occupied zone, you are listening to Covert Radio.
Well, hello, this is Covert Radio. It is February the 22nd, 2023. Or some like to say it's 2/22/23. Sorry for the delay in getting some content to you guys, but we're going to do a quick rapid fire of a few shows coming up. And I want to show you guys a comment here I got on Covert Radio. This was a few days ago. This is from Christopher David. Hey, Covert, I would love to hear your thoughts on the Chinese balloon and the other 3 or 4 objects that the U.S. shot down in the last week. Oh, let's not forget about the Russian aircraft that were intercepted by the military off the coast of Alaska this past week. If I were a betting man, I think China and Russia are sizing the U.S. up for some event in the near future. What do you think, brother? Well, I think you're dead on, mate. I think you're dead on, Christopher. There's a lot of information that supports that. There's a lot of, again, if you're a longtime listener, Chris, there's a word I've said a lot through the last, I don't know how many years of Covert Radio, but I know shock and awe has been stated by Covert Radio a lot. That's exactly how they're going to hit the U.S. It's going to be, it's going to be a blitzkrieg. You know what I mean? It's going to be a Barbarossa. It's going to be a war of attrition. And we're going to be hit on so many fronts that you're not going to know whether you should look up, down, hide, shelter in place, go in a cave, go into the water. You're not going to know. You're not going to know. We used to run a defense in football like this. It was, I forget exactly what we called it, but yeah. They're going to hit us hard. We're already being hit. Let's remove any aspersions at all. We are absolutely being hit right now. Every day, every single day for over the last month or two. Okay, maybe every few days, something completely bizarre, unexplainable, completely uncommon has happened. From people attacking the power grid, from all of a sudden these trains derailing, all of a sudden these balloons are showing up in the sky, all of a sudden this, all of a sudden that. But I'm going to tell you something, guys, and I'm dead serious about this. This is not fear porn. Covert Radio is not going to, that was never my intention to give you guys fear porn. I've only wanted to warn you and prepare you and possibly change the circumstances because, it's almost like being a boxer. If you're a boxer and you're about to get into the ring with, say, Rocky Balboa, we all know Rocky Balboa. He was a southpaw, you know what I mean? Which means he was a lefty. I personally know an ex-heavyweight champ of the world who was a lefty. And I, too, am a lefty. So What I mean by that is a lot of people aren't used to lefties. They're not used to being hit on the left side. And when you're training to when you're training to be hit by somebody on that punches left, it's different. It throws all of your rhythm off. So not only are we being hit on the left, we're being hit on the top, we're being hit under the chin and on the right side. And my hopes has always been to prepare us all for those left-hand punches. We're preparing. I've always said this is a war. This absolutely is a war. And the internet is going down, guys. The internet is going down. They have to take the internet down. That is, it's not going down forever. Not at all. But the power and control is not leveraged on their side until they can control the internet. The algorithms, the bots, the artificial intelligence, they're trying to flood the internet with Chat GPT, which that's another video I've been promising you guys since the day it was in beta. I've talked about AI and Chat GPT and how it's being pushed out there to the Zoomers and the millennials as it's the future of how to make free money. Nothing is free. Make $10,000 a month with Chat GPT. This is how they're going to flood the narrative. There has been a complete transconfiguration of the internet. I've watched it from day one. Since the 90s, since I was on a 28.8 modem, a 56K modem, when the internet was a playground for geeks, I was there. I watched what's happened with the internet, and I'm telling you, it's not only predicted by people that are way, way, way smarter than any of us. Shout out to archaics.com, Jason Brashears and Archaics. Not only is it predicted, but it's also, if you think about it, they have no other choice. That's what the Great Reset is. Just like back in the 70s, 80s, you had ABC, CBS, NBC. That was it. Oh, then Fox came, and then the internet. I mean, come on, you guys know. There's something that they've tried in the last several years, really in the last 20 years, since 9/11, the internet has destroyed their agenda. The internet has pulled the skirt up. The internet has pulled the curtain back. They can't have that anymore. And the way they're going to do that is through bringing the internet down, either initializing the ID 2030 agenda where everybody, just like your driver's license or your student ID or your state ID, that's what you're going to have onto the internet. If you want to have a channel such as Covert Radio or something, you will have to have a license from the FCC. They're going to regulate everything. And they keep trying to smear disinformation in this, and the FDA's, I have so much information. It's just so sad, man. It's so sad how much stuff I got to get out to you guys. And, and here we are here with this comment from Christopher, and I've been meaning to get to this. I can't wait to cover this. And part of covering this is this beautiful specimen right here. If you look on the screen, this is a Rottweiler. He's an attack dog. And this was going to be part of my response to Christopher in that video about what these balloons are and how this is a preamble to the EMP that's going to murder. Or it's going to be a new Carrington event, because we're going to start hearing the sun's going through crazy solar activity. So they're either going to have a new Carrington event so nobody can point the finger at a specific deep state operative or group, 3-letter group, or they're going to blame Russia or China. And right now it looks like they're going to blame China there was a high altitude EMP that was detonated. The test runs the balloons in January and February of 2023. Well, now we know those were just test runs. And the train derailments were those were hackers that went in and they have the whole storyline in the works right now. That's not changing the fact that they are going to kill our dogs before they have boots on the ground. Let me say that again. Before there is a United Nations army inside of America, or Chinese soldiers, or all of the, the thousands and thousands and thousands of military-aged young men who are walking across our border every day. And then, we didn't know they were sleeper cells. They told us that they were fleeing war-torn areas for better opportunities in the land of the home and the free. Turns out they were sleeper cells. Listen, nobody's going to protect you but you. Nobody is going to protect us but us. Trump is not going to protect you. Biden is not going to protect you. Nobody is going to protect you from what's about to happen. The only thing that's going to help you is information. Just like Covert Radio for the last 6 or 7 years, there's a war out there, old friend, a world war, and it's not about who's got the most bullets. It's about who controls the information. And there's such a flood of arbitrary noise and nonsense, and the flood of YouTube, of celebrities, and all these people just are flooding these 15-second. They're turning the TikTok and YouTube they're turning YouTube into TikTok. So essentially, you have 15 seconds to state a fact or state whatever, but if you just flip and flip and flip and flip and slide your finger, next. You've watched so many videos that mean nothing. You may have got a chuckle out of them, except consumed your time, and then they'll mix in some propaganda. But there's nothing there that is going to help you. You may get a hack. This is how you get cleaner laundry. Ugh. That's not going to mean anything if you have no power, or you can't get laundry detergent, and you can't go to the internet to see, how do I clean clothes without any laundry detergent? What can I use? Household remedies. They're going to take the internet guys down. They're going to take the internet down. But prior to there being boots on the ground in America, they are going to kill our dogs. I've said this before on Covert Radio, and I really, really, really mean it. And I want you guys to see this article here. This is the Daily Mail. This was the February the 17th. So this was a few days ago. And tell me how many times in your lifetime you've seen or heard something like this. Cases of dog flu erupt. Now, I want you to listen to these words. There's another trigger word. So here's erupt, which is a very powerful word. And then there was another one coming down here. Severe. There's death. There was another, brutal right here. Warning of a brutal canine influenza season. I never heard of a canine influenza season, number one. But cases of dog flu erupt across America as experts say pets should be quarantined and even vaccinated to prevent its spread. Cases have been reported in Philadelphia, North Texas, California, and I thought I saw Florida. Yeah, right here, Florida. So, an outbreak of dog flu has struck some of America's best friends this winter. Veterinarians across America, including Philadelphia, North Texas, California, and Florida, are warning of a brutal canine influenza season. And they're basically saying that 1 out of every 10 cases of this results in death. And it's contracted through barking and sneezing and coughing, droplets in the air. I'm not going to read this whole article. You guys can take a look at it. And you may think, I don't care, Covert Radio. I don't have a dog. Well, let me tell you something, okay? I feel sorry for you if you don't have a dog or if you've never had a dog. Number one, dogs are just unbelievable pets. They're unbelievable animals. They're vicious. They're ferocious. They're loving. They'll die for you, literally. And even the military to this day have dogs. There are dogs that are part of every branch of the military. The Green Berets, the police have dogs. All through history, all the way back to the Romans, have utilized dogs for their military and their army. And we, as civilians in America, and I'm talking about around 50 million animals that are pets in America, dogs, just dogs. There's something like 58 million or something dogs in America right now. So far, this is the current stat, 58 million dogs and like 40 some million cats. But guess what? Cats are not going to alert you to soldiers creeping around your back fence or coming down your street, or, what, they're not going to launch themselves face first into an intruder's path to protect you. Cats won't do that. Dogs will, though, however. And if you want to look at it logistically, let's look at it logistically, okay? So here we go. And I'm going to connect dots, and I want to do this quick because, again, this was actually part of a bigger video, but this is so important that I wanted to make this its own video. So a few days ago, they were warning cases of dog flu erupt across America, and 1 out of 10 dogs are dying. Okay. So there's an egg shortage. Chicken is sky high. Why is that? Why is that? Do you guys remember why that is? Well, in the last year, really the last 2 to 3 months, the avian flu, if you guys look at the screen here, avian flu has led to the killing of 140 million farmed birds since October of 2022. And this is all across the world, UK, US, all across the European Union. You can see this dumpster filled with tractors dumping carcasses. And this is bird flu. This is chickens. This is turkeys. 140 million since, and these stats are going to vary. Just today, or no, this was a few weeks ago. 100,000 chickens killed in the fire at country's top egg producers. So we have 140 million euthanized, 140 million chickens and turkeys euthanized. So how many eggs are they not gonna lay anymore? Now, a few weeks ago, we have a mysterious factory blowing up. And geez, isn't that what's happening in the last 4 or 5 days? There have been several, up to 3, I think, just in the last few days, of factories just exploding out of the thin air. Not including trains derailing all across the United States, prior to that, a few weeks prior to that, there have been the, power stations and transformer stations are mysteriously being attacked. We are at war. It is started. It is started. And just like the Romans have done, they've given the people bread and circus. They gave them the circus, the Roman circus, the fat women, the 1,000-pound sisters, the freaks, you watch these shows on all of the pharmaceutivision, which I have a video coming up about that. I coined that term, fartasumavision, pharmaceutivision. It's the Roman bread and circus, brought to you by Pfizer. It's the Roman bread and circus all over again. You got the fat women, you got the crazy women, you got the freaks, you got the bearded women, okay? It's the circus. P.T. Barnum and Bailey. We're all sitting, give me Dunkin' Donuts and pizza, the circus, look how fat, wow. We're being attacked. We're being surrounded, we're being encamped, and we're being attacked. And what's going to happen, the last thing that's going to happen, it no work, can't see fat woman. TV don't work no more, screen go off. What can't me do now? Me can't do nothing, what me do now? As trucks and military go roaming around each city, for your safety, please relocate to the sports stadium, the one that's, if you need a transport, meet at the subway station every 30 minutes. We have buses and we have transports that are going to the stadium. We have water, air conditioning there, we have heat, and we have what you need. Please comply. We'll be doing sweeps house to house momentarily within the next 72 hours. Please relocate and evacuate. TV ain't no work. Fat woman not on TV. Me know what to do now. True Freeman go jail. Jail not go to jail. Ha 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 ha. Him missing tooth. Ha 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 ha. Tommy say bad thing about black woman. That's what he do. Why not he do that? Ha 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 ha. We're being surrounded. We're being encamped. We're being surrounded. We're being encamped. We're being attacked right now. Show me through any part of history where so many trains with toxic forever chemicals have spilled while simultaneously supposedly rogue satellite balloon, weaponized, floating objects are all around, strategically placed all across America. Any one of them, they had, now we know that those balloons were test runs. They had EMPs on them. Poof, lights out. 6 months, or it's going to be a new Carrington event. So just watch the news over the next 2 to 3 weeks, maybe a week or two. It could be tomorrow. I do know it is going to happen on a Thursday. I'm telling you that. It's going to happen on a Thursday. And by Monday, it'll be an entirely different world. And I'm just hoping that with me telling you guys this, you're going to learn how to prepare from being punched from somebody who's a southpaw. That's why I'm doing this. I'm not here to scare anybody. This isn't fear porn. I'm not promulgating a fantasy. This is happening in real time. And I'm just connecting dots here. They're going to kill the dogs before they come into the country. And the reason they're going to do that is going to save them tens of millions of rounds of ammunition. Tens of millions of rounds of ammunition. So prior to them coming in, they are going to devastate all of the families and the dogs that are in America. 90% of our dog food comes from China. You see what bird flu did to our economy, our chicken, our cost, our inflation, and our eggs. And that's still happening. All across the counties affected, every one of these counties are affected. This is the CDC. This is today, right now. The last update was February the 15th, a few days ago, 2023. H5N1 bird flu detections across the United States, backyard and commercial. 383 counties, 762 outbreaks, 47 out of 50 states are affected. Millions and millions. As of the 15th, right now, there's 60 million infected birds right now. That's just chickens. That's just poultry. 60 million chickens right now. Maybe turkeys are included in that too. That's not including all of the wild birds. There have been millions and millions and millions of birds, chickens, turkeys destroyed, euthanized. And this right here is going to save an invading army a bullet or three, because I'll tell you what, dogs can be shot several times before they drop. So there's 50, 60 million dogs in America. You're talking 100 and some million rounds of ammunition that's going to be saved by an invading army if they killed our dogs before they get here. With no dog, they can creep around wherever they want. With no dogs, they can kick the doors in wherever they want. Almost every single 90-some% of all commercial dog food is sourced in China. They've made our dogs sick before. There are constantly recalls being done. And unless you have a dog, or, I mean, people even with dogs don't pay attention. There is constantly dog food and pet food being recalled. 90-some% of it. And if you think I'm lying about China killing our dogs before they come into this country, they've done it before. This is ABC News. This is ABC News. Officials, pet food poison may have been intentional. This is back in 2007. I was personally affected by this. My aunt's dog died of kidney failure on the kitchen floor within an hour after eating tainted food brought to you by China. Within an hour, he was dead. For the first time, investigators are saying the chemical that has sickened and killed pets in the United States may have been intentionally added to pet food ingredients by Chinese producers. The FDA investigators say the Chinese companies may have spiked products with the chemical melamine so that they would appear in tests to have more value as protein products. The possibility is because the second ingredient that was put in by China, which is rice protein concentrate, has tested positive for melamine. Corn gluten shipped by South Africa, or shipped to South Africa from China. So they've tried it before. They've done it before. Not saying it was intentional, but they intentionally put it in. I mean, I'm not saying it could have been a test run. Could have been a test run. Look into this. China's food safety problems are you can't. There's no list long enough. And then you can add some more on top of that. They don't care. I will not feed my dogs anything that comes from a store. And it costs only a little bit of time and way less money to buy some ground beef and make your own treats, make your own whatever. They're going to kill our dogs before they walk in. I'm giving you a warning. The way to avoid this, again, this is how you duck or protect yourself from a left punch. Make your own food. Lay off on the garbage. Lay off on the dollar store food. Like, it's unbelievable that I don't even have to tell somebody this. It's not safe. Because let alone if there's a dog flu erupting all across, and you look, the states they mentioned, Texas, California, Florida, Philadelphia, bing, bang, bong, just like a perfect north, south, east, west. They got you as far as Philadelphia. They got you as far as California. They got you down in Florida, and I'm sure it's going to start in Montana. So they have all 3-4 corners of America covered. Now let the spread begin. Because I assure you, when it comes time to walk into your house or walk into your neighborhood or creep around your backyard for all the night ops or whatever, you know, just like they did back in 2019, or yeah, was it 18 or 19 for Jade Helm? You guys remember that? YouTube took this video down for Covert Radio, but they did leave the post up, the community post. If you guys look right here, this was 3 years ago, and I'm not going to get all into this, but I just want you to see the coincidence here and how much of a coincidence this is, how weird it is. 3 years ago, so if you see here, it says Unleashed today on June the 5th of 2019. There was a pandemic issued not much past this. July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. 9 months later, the world was a different place. The world started down a trajectory that we're still on. 9 months after this post. Okay? I'm just putting this into perspective. YouTube is banking on you, 1, being lazy, 2, being scared, 3, being weak, 4, being submissive, 5, being ignorant, 6, being consumed with lies and delusions, and number 7, YouTube is banking on you being hopeless. The literal takedown of independent thought, free speech, and independent media is in full swing. Hindsight is 2020. Meaning, wow, now that you look back, all of a sudden, 6, 8, 9 months before a devastating, devastating sickness engulfed the world, 6, 8, 9 months prior to that, YouTube started taking people off of their service who were independent thinkers, who were free speech proponents. Covert Radio all through 2020, 2021, and 2022 was shut down, had videos removed, was flagged, was silenced. Medical misinformation, they'd never explain what it is. Videos just disappearing. I go on to say, I know it's been a slow rolling boil, but the hellish algorithm unleashed today on June the 5th of 2019 by YouTube is completely eviscerating many independent thinkers, thinkers, free speech advocates, and conservative-based independent media channels. The new update is completely demonetizing their channels and removing countless videos. No warnings, no strikes, no reason, just gone. Covert Radio was also targeted, and then I show you the image below. And this is no race war? Okay, then artificial hurricanes, HARP, Jade Helm, Walmart's, FEMA, prepare now. And in case you didn't see that video, Jade Helm was a operation that was ran all through the Southwest, a military operation, which I know they ran nighttime ops. And they were playing like shadow games or whatever they're called. There's a whole part of the military, a whole part of the Army or Green Berets that do, they're called the Night Stalkers. It's the 160th Special Ops Aviation Regiment. It's the 160th Airborne. And their acronym is SOAR, S-O-A-R. They're Special Operations Force, part of the Army, and they provide helicopters, special ops forces. They do attack missions, assault missions, reconnaissance missions, and 90% of them are conducted at night. And it's shock and awe. It's done at nighttime. They do it at high speeds. They move in low altitudes and on short notice. When I lived in Virginia Beach years ago, they would run this from where they would run drills from Langley with Blackhawks. And one of the most terrifying things I've ever personally witnessed was being on the beach at probably 10, 12 o'clock at night, 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night, hanging out right on Virginia Beach. And you just hear the Blackhawks coming from Langley, which is behind you. And it's like, whoo, 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 whoo. Not even exaggerating. They're so powerful. It shakes your body. And you look up and there's 5, 4, 5, 6 Blackhawks. I swear to God, you can see the glowing helmets, the eyes, and you can see the instruments. That's how low they are. And they go right out over the ocean, right over the beach, and they go out over the blackness of the ocean. And all of a sudden, ping, 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 they all disappear. It's lights out. Everything goes into night mode. It's the scariest. It's one of the scariest things I've ever seen in my life. The sound, the power, and then when they black out over a black ocean, like, oh my God. But the 160th Special Ops, the SOAR, the Night Stalkers is what they're called. You know, that's what they do. They move around at night. You don't think there's other militaries that have nighttime ops? Of course there are. Of course there are. But what does your dog do when it hears a can rolling down the street? When it hears people walking and talking on the sidewalk? So I'm just here to tell you, and I did not want to make this a long video, and I didn't want to, bury this inside of another video because that's how important it is. If you start hearing of dogs dying all of a sudden, or this dog flu, if this erupts, like it's saying, if it gets way worse, you better get ready because we could be weeks away from an invasion. And this is going to be after, oh, wow, that's what those balloons were. They had EMPs on them. Wow, the whole grid went down from Maine all the way down to Texas. There was like 3 states with power. Just so happened that Denver still maintained power. Don't get me started on this, please. This is going to be in another video. And again, I'm going to answer Christopher about what I think is happening. But, here's one thing to consider. I've not heard anybody talk about yet. You ready for this? This whole thing in Palestine, East Palestine, Ohio, and these forever chemicals and the FEMA, and everybody's like, oh, it's fine. It's fine. No, wait, no, it's not. Wait, it's fine. No. And then videos are surfacing online all of a sudden with like, watch this. And then they take a stick and they shove it in a crick. And it's just like God only knows what it really is. It's, bubbling, making its way up to the surface, and it creates like that rainbow film effect on the surface of the water. And the mayor was like, oh, our water supply comes from deep wells. Where do you think that water comes from? How does it not resurface and then get used and then finally make its way back down to the aquifers under the ground? Idiot. What do you have, a well that's quarantined of its own supply and reuse? Like, but there's so much more to this. There's so much more to this about Bill Gates and the company that he now owns all of a sudden, Ecolab, and how one of their big motivation or modus operandi and one of their big money makers is it just so happened to be water purification. Oh, wow. Geez, this would make a good test subject, a good launch for your new company, Bill. What a coincidence. There's a lot more to this, but what I'm telling you is that I've heard nobody talk about. There is a group of people in the United States that's highly focused at and around East Palestine. This is a group of people that I know personally. I know members, I should say. They're called Mennonites and they're called Amish. They don't live by the rules. They have their own rules. They have their own land. They have their own structure of life. They don't use electricity. They do everything in a 17th, 18th century fashion. They use horses and buggies. They don't have tractors. They do everything by hand. They don't even use power tools. And you should see their houses and their barns and the structures they build. They speak fluent German. Their bishops speak German. And they're concentrated in East Palestine area, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and parts of Indiana. I don't know if there's any other Amish all around the United States, but there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of Amish and Mennonite focused in this area. Here's what I'm telling you. And this is something that I don't think a lot of people know, because I've not heard anybody talk about this yet. The Amish have stores. They have Amish stores. It's widely known when you go through parts of Ohio, when you go through parts of Pennsylvania, when you go through parts of Indiana. Oh, wow, look, there's an Amish store. Let's go in. It's the best food you're ever going to eat. It's the best canned goods you're ever going to taste. It's fairly priced, and they don't use any fertilizers. They don't use any, again, they'll go in a field for 15 hours a day to pick bugs off of plants before they'll use any type of chemicals or fertilizers. You're not going to get cleaner, more pure, non-GMO foods from anywhere in the United States like you can get at an Amish store. I'm saying a real Amish store, like where they have a farm 2 miles from the store. You know what I mean? It's literally farm to table, farm to store to table. And guess what they're not selling all of a sudden in the last couple weeks? They're not selling their eggs. They are not selling their eggs. And now the water supply in their area that they feed their cows with, that feeds their horses, that feeds their crops, that feeds their families has been contaminated. It's just something to think about. I'm Covert Radio. Stay tuned, because we got an army you can see and an army you don't know nothing about.
This is to the media, to your twisted, immoral society, and your communist government. We hate you all, and we are ready for war. We will always speak up and expose the corruption, the authoritarianism, the tyranny, and the hate.
Truth dispels lies as light dispels darkness.
From an undisclosed location, deep in an occupied zone, you are listening to Covert